may not like it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Everybody, yeah, rock your body, yeah. Everybody, rock your body right. Evan's back, alright. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 228. It has been a minute, ladies and gentlemen, it feels like forever since we just sat down here for an episode. Okay, and for that, I apologize. Podcasts going through changes. Listen, it's like a blossoming thing, alright? Things are going to move around, your boy getting busy, but you know what? There's nothing more important on this planet than this podcast. Nothing in the big scope of life, the universe, the galaxies, the planets, World War III, hunger, Puerto Rico losing all the power in the country. Listen, the island country. Listen, Puerto Rico needs to just do its own thing. All right. I don't know what's going on. But Puerto Rico's been without power for the last couple days. There was a fire at a power plant, and the island just went dark. Just back to the caveman days, which is terrifying. There's people, on respirators with backup generators, tons of health issues, and just the fact you can lose your power on an island. It's a scary place to lose your power. And it's been one of those weird things where it's a commonwealth of the states, but it's not really connected. It's just like Alaska and Hawaii. Like, that ain't our shit. That ain't the states, Oh, can I walk there? Can I get in my car and arrive there? Nah. But it's like, you're kind of cool. It's like your friend's friend. He brings a friend to the party. And this happened to me once in college. A friend brought a friend to the party. We were playing beer pong. That friend is drunk and starts a fight with someone, and now there's a full-on melee where there's like 4 or 5 guys from each side fighting, and I get wrapped up in it. Here's the thing. I don't like telling people that I can fight at all. I don't like it. I don't like ironically, the violence. I don't like the uncomfortableness of confrontation, and everybody's just like, hey, yeah, hit the bat signal. Bring in Evan. And I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this. And that's what it feels like. It's like, he's kind of my friend, but he's my friend's friend. And that's what I think it is with these when we have Hawaii, when we have Puerto Rico, when we have Alaska. And listen, your boy is Puerto Rican. And I say this because it doesn't get, it's one of those things where Puerto Rico doesn't necessarily want to be a state. They always vote, and it doesn't happen. And so they don't get the vote in the election. They don't get the vote in federal things. So I guess it's different than Hawaii and Alaska. So, right. It's just a weird situation. It kind of got a weird deal where it got some federal support, but the states also got a lot from Puerto Rico with commercial stuff. And, it's weird because it's so disconnected from having any kind of federal overwatch, and that there's a lot of room for corruption. And it sucks because it does happen to Puerto Rico, where there is a lot of corruption in the politics and the government there and the way things go down. Because being someone who that's my fucking culture. The food, the dancing, the lifestyle, the fight that Puerto Rico has in its soul is one of the most beautiful things. You go to the forts there and you get to see the resiliency of the Puerto Ricans at different points in history, and just the fight. It ain't the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the cock in the rooster. What? Huh? Listen. I don't know why I said all that, but shout out to Puerto Rico, praying for everybody. If there's anybody up there praying to them, I don't know. It's just what you say. And the island's tough. Island's been hit fucking hard. Still there. All right. Hopefully we get that sorted. Hopefully there's a better infrastructure we can bring into Puerto Rico. Elon Musk, I know he talked about some things, but let's fucking do it. Elon, you're over here pumping up Dogecoin. Fucking pump up some macapullas, some pasteles, some tostones, all right? Some empanadas. You go down there, have a little sofrito, you'll be like, we need to save this fucking place, all right? Over there fucking around with Dogecoin, buying Twitter and shit. Which is a crazy move that Elon Musk just fucking is Bruce Wayne in it out there. I mean, I hope he ends up being Bruce Wayne and not a villain. Hopefully he's not fucking Lex Luthor, Had to dig deep in the old cerebellum to pull up that reference. Haven't thought about Lex Luthor since fucking Smallville. Somebody save me. If you know, you know. But Elon Musk became, I think, the biggest shareholder in Twitter with the 9% shareholding, whatever the fuck that means. But he's now on the board, and I think he has a controlling portion, if I'm not completely stupid. I think that's what that means. And it's an interesting thing because before this, he was talking a lot about free speech and all these different things, and people kept bringing up Twitter. So he says, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to buy it. And he bought a bunch of controlling shares of Twitter. And it's interesting because if who Elon Musk seems to be, this is going to be a step in the right direction of getting control of free speech. Ironically, that's a weird way to say getting control of free speech is free speech not being controlled. And it does get weird. We have been in a weird state. And I want to say it's been probably like at least 3 years. I think the pandemic definitely, people were bored. There were so many people at home. So they were just fucking canceling people. Because they're like, all right, it's Tuesday afternoon. We don't have anything to do. Let's cancel someone. I don't know why they went like that. I think that's what was going on a lot. Is people were pent up. They had a lot of frustration. They had no one to take it out on. They already beat the kids. They beat the wife. If they're the wife, they beat the husband. If they're Jada, they got their husband to beat up someone else. Just a boss move. Just do my bidding. And I think because of the pandemic, everybody went into this weird state of where we just started trying to control things that we could control. And that's what it feels like. It felt like with the mask and everything, it feels like we're coming out the other side. Weirdly, it feels like Will Smith slapped the COVID out of our society. Because ever since that, I'm like, I don't see anything about COVID. Anything. And it could be that I'm just going further and further into my little booble. But I'm not seeing much. Not seeing much. And it feels like we're coming out the other side. I had a buddy ask me, do you think we're going back into any kind of lockdown in the future or anything? I feel like no. I feel like it's impossible. I feel like we have way too much data and too much information facts came out. And it's weird. I hate that we're in this place where the game that has been established is gotcha. That we don't let people, and we need to stop doing this on all sides. Everybody needs to stop doing this. It's a fucking game of gotcha, where everything can be weaponized from an apology, admitting you're wrong, and changing. And if you try to cancel someone, like if you go after someone else, they dig up something from your past and be like, no, I got you. Any chance to just attack the other person. I feel like we need more empathy and we need to stop playing gotcha because it's just going to be round and round we go. It's like a snake eating its own tail. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're getting them, but this is going to come back. It's going to swing the other direction. It's not going to be fun because that's what we're seeing. We're in this weird game of gotcha. And I had a bigger point, but I've lost it. What were we talking about? We were talking about, the weird state that we've gotten, especially with politics. And the reason I brought that up is because of things like Fauci. which this episode just got flagged, probably for saying that. But there's no ability for a person in the public to apologize. While it might be great to, in a normal situation, just go, hey guys, I feel like it would be beneficial in the long run, but you'd have to eat a lot of shit, and people aren't willing to do the long game. They just are like, no, we're still playing this game. And people are older and they're set in their way. But imagine if Fauci came out now and said, listen, when we were making this decision, this was what we thought was happening. And we committed ourselves to this plan, and a lot of money and investment and things were going towards this way. And it wasn't the best approach. And we're finding that out through data. So as we get new information, we are going to calibrate to what the playing field actually is. Could you imagine how much better you would feel about life and about these people who are supposed to be making decisions for the bigger picture, the greater good? I would feel more interested in what they're doing. I wouldn't feel like you have to somehow be a part of those situations. It's like a business where it's like, you can't have your finger on everything. If you're the owner, you're just like, no, I don't want to be involved in every single step of everything, making sure that everybody's doing their job. I just want to know, okay, you're doing the best you can handle that. All right, great. We're supposed to be a society. And it takes, what's that quote? It takes a village to raise someone. I don't know. That's a fucking quote. But it's like, we need everybody to do their part in a society. And I feel like we've gotten to a weird place where politicians have created so much toxicity. They've manipulated. They were not checked for so long that while everybody, politicians were created to handle these big affairs and also just be representations of their community. We vote for people to represent us. So they're literally just supposed to be proxies for what people want in that particular area, like local government and everything. And it's supposed to go up and expand out after that. But somewhere along the line, everybody just got so busy because we were like, hey, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're a proxy for us. We're paying taxes. We're funding this so you can focus on this. Your job is to be this politician and do this part of the work. And while everybody was busy doing the other shit, these motherfuckers were just like, hey, no one's really watching us. Why don't we just write $50 in for us? Like a little, I don't know, tip. We're working hard. And they were like, yeah, just write a fucking tip in. They put $50. That's where it started, $50. Don't quote me on that. And they were like, hey, that went through. That we passed that. And now we're to the point where they're like, hey. They're just cocky. They're writing this shit with their dick. Like they're putting their dick in an ink blot. And they're just like, yo, I've gotten so fucking cocky. Look at this. And they're just writing shit. Whatever they want. They're like, hey, you double dog dare me to put in $7 million for counting amberjacks? They're like, what the fuck's amberjacks? I don't know. I was at the aquarium last week and there are fucking fish somewhere. Let's see if we can get away with making a job for someone to count them for 7 million. Just stuff it in there. They fucking did it. They did it. They're like, hey, just make this shit 2,000 pages. No one's going to read it. And they didn't even give enough time for the fastest person ever to read it. Have you guys seen that one guy who, I don't know how he snake oiled himself onto a talk show? He's being interviewed and he's just going, and he's pretending that he's reading every fucking line. That's what you would have had to do with all the bills to actually see everything. That's where we're at in life. Now we're just having all this weird shit with politicians. And it's like, there needs to be some kind of reckoning. Some kind of reckoning. I'm Batman. Type. Anyway. But it feels like it's happening. It feels like there's things that have, the jack doesn't go back in the box once you jack off in a box. What? It feels like things are being, at least, I just feel like what's been happening can't keep going on. Like people are, I've been dancing around using this word because it's been ruined, but saying people are waking up. the Great Awakening. But it's like, how long can this go on? And it feels like, to preserve how things are, all these news channels and just all the, like, the division, they're like, this is the last Hail Mary, is to just divide these people and make them so toxic and angry at each other. It's the last chance, the last hurrah to keep everything in control. It's weird. It's like the worst way to win is to completely disintegrate the values of what you're doing it for. Because it's like, they've divided so much, and that's what's fucked up about all of this, is they're not supposed to just be leaders for their party. That's what's crazy, is we're all supposed to be led by like an individuals representing everyone, not just your party. And in doing so, in campaigning and everything, they attack their opponent's base and what they represent, and they turn their people against them. So, like, they have to make sure they're not there in the center. We need to eliminate them from being on the fence at all. And it ruins the actual, it's like sucking all the oil out of the planet. You know, you're like, we're going to be able to do this for a while, but there's going to be a point where I think this was important. You know? It's like if you're building a wall and you just keep pulling stuff from underneath your house. You're like, yeah, we can do this for a while, but eventually this shit's going to give out. And I feel like that's a cautionary tale. Like, societies crumble, you know? Not to be a fucking podcast sore. All right. People are like, this shit isn't comedy at all. This is Diet Alex Jones. But look at this cool shirt I got on, though. That's all that matters. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Let's see. Let's switch gears a little bit. What else we got? Yeah, you're getting too serious on the podcast for your ass and whoever else. That's all I felt like doing, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, listen. Controversial statement. Been thinking about this for a while. Had my fun with it. Obviously, we talked about it. I'm ready to forgive Will Smith. Okay? I think he realized what he did. And I think Will Smith might be on suicide watch. I feel like people aren't letting it go. I feel like, I'll be honest with you, I got pretty tired of the jokes pretty fast. It got so overdone. And I feel like no one is really talking about what the real problem is. And it's that Will Smith is in a super toxic relationship. And we need to get Will out of this. We've all had friends there. When they're with someone who's super toxic and you barely recognize your friend anymore. That looked like a man who needed to stand up for his wife because he knew in that moment that he laughed and she, like, this is the thing. And I thought of this after. This is why I thought it. I saw an interview, because there's so much stuff about them been just flowing through the free world, where he talked about, I planned her 40th birthday party for something like 3 years. And he had all this elaborate thing. And he did all this stuff for her because he wanted her to feel special. And, she was like insecure about turning 40. So he did this huge thing for her. He planned for years. And then on the night of it happening, she shut him down and goes, "This was the biggest display of your ego." And he was crushed by it. Dude, if I did something that nice and I put so much work into it, and they were like, "This is just a display of your ego," and just was annoyed by it, I'd be like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Like, what a weird, controlling, narcissistic thing to say. And that's what I think it comes down to, is that she's a narcissist, She's gaslighting Mr. Will Smith, getting jiggy with it. Listen, na. That original Men in Black song. Here comes the Men in Black. No one has had a bigger fall from grace than Will Smith. He was the man up until he started getting, listen, all roads lead back to Jada. All right? All roads. And this is the problem, is ever since the entanglement, ever since, I remember back in the day hearing about weird shit, about how Will came home and he caught Jada with another man and he like ran out of the house crying. And then they had to, for a long time, have talks about this. And then they decided that an open relationship was healthy. Hey, Mr. Will didn't want the open relationship. He just did that because he's been emotionally manipulated and has felt on tilt ever since he knew that she was in love with Tupac. Listen, Tupac cast a huge shadow. You know how crazy that must be to be like, I ain't no Tupac, like you're compared to Tupac, especially when you're Will Smith. You're the nice guy. You're the, I don't curse in my raps. Yo, Will Smith can rap though, but I just wish he like really let it out for a while. Do you remember that when he dissed Eminem? He had a song called Mr. Nice Guy. I fucked with it. I didn't, listen, I'm always team Eminem, but I fucked with it because I was like, oh, this is Will Smith rapping and he's doing it nice. He wasn't really insulting Eminem. He kind of was just like, hey, I didn't really like the way you rapped about me. I don't have to curse. But when he cursed at Chris Rock, it looked like a man just in pain. Now, keep in mind, I don't walk back anything I said about it was a terrible thing. It sets a bad precedent. It was entitled. It was privilege. It was so many other cool words that millennials like to use. But I just see it. I'm an empathetic person, and I just see it coming from a place of pain. And I think that there's so much you can learn from celebrities. And not in a way that some people might take that. Take that. Shout out to P. Diddy. My father told me when I was young, me being the youngest, he said, mijo, cierra la boca, which means shut your mouth. But really, he would tell me, you're the youngest. You have the opportunity to observe. You have the opportunity to learn from mistakes without doing them. And that always stuck with me. And I remember that. Like, I remember where I was sitting when I heard this because it made so much sense. And I was like, okay. Now, granted, your boy made a lot of those same mistakes and made his own. Still making them, baby. But I love to observe cautionary tales. I love to like break down what is actually happening with celebrity. Like when you're watching the Oscars, I like to break it down on like almost a cellular level. And I don't mean T-Mobile. I like to break it down of just like base layer of what is happening. Okay, these are a group of individuals who have an unhealthy amount of attention. And we've come to realize that attention with kids and an overstimulation caused by an unnatural amount through the television and being notorious and having all this fame at a young age is not good for a child's development or dopamine and just how they grow up. It like stunts their ability to be a normal human and develop social interactions and their ego and their id and whatever else other bullshit I learned in psychology class. But you're watching these celebrities and they have an absorbent amount of attention. I feel like there's a weird disconnect where they have to justify why they have all that attention. Because if you really break it down, if you're great, you can't compartmentalize that you're just really good at your craft. Granted, there's a lot of actors who I think take a more humble approach and challenge themselves in other ways to maintain a healthy ego. I think martial arts is great for that. understanding, staying connected to everyday life is great for maintaining what you do versus what other people do. Because I think that there can be a huge disconnect with the importance of what you do and what you contribute to society. And I think that happens with actors sometimes. They have this unhealthy amount of attention, and because they don't check their ego, they go, there has to be another reason other than just this, because that's almost kind of silly that I'm just an entertainer. Wow, am I an icon? Wow, am I an influencer? Which I hate that name. It's so dumb. Wow, I actually influence society. I'm an important person in history. People should listen to my opinion. My voice actually matters a lot more than others. Wow, people treat me like royalty when I go places. I think it's because I'm very important. I'm special. I'm a star. Wow, I'm entitled to all this. I get all treated like luxury everywhere I go. People just tell me yes, 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 yes. Not a lot of no, so I must be more important than the regular people. I think I'm kind of entitled to do things that other people don't do. Wow, I could call 1,000 women and any of them would come sleep with me tonight. I'm still in the act out right now. I'm not talking about me personally. Probably have to pay 1,000. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's what happens with this stuff. And I feel like the Smith family are a great example. Granted, I've never met a single one of them. I assume, Will Smith was... Listen, this is why I'm glad I didn't get famous young. Like, I don't even think I would really want fame in the sense of what I might have thought fame was when I was like 18. Where it's just notoriety, you go places, it's so cool and everything. It's like, I'm pretty low key. I just wanted to make like funny stuff, make content, help people, be a good person, and just live my life. Like that's it. And I think when you grow up in that kind of environment, like you look at the Smith family and their kids and their ideas, they've gotten so warped into a bubble where it's just like, what is this? This isn't real life. You get these like superstars and it's like, all we have are yes men around us. We're not grounded. And then we live in this super like bubble of Hollywood. So now all our weird, wacky ideas about what life is thrown out of proportion. And our kids are weird, which is fine. Like make your art, do your shit. But then your ideas on what life is and what is hard. Because I know some people, like I get, like life is hard for a lot of people. And whenever I start getting too like, oh, this is rough and this is a struggle, blah, 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 I always try to get perspective. And I'm always like, man, there are a lot of people who have it much, much, much worse than me. There are people who have struggles every day. And it's like, I don't think you want a day without struggle. You don't want that kind of life. And sorry, my dog is barking. Someone's trying to drop off a fucking package or something. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we had a technical difficulty. My dog was going crazy. I apologize. Listen, my dog doesn't give a shit who you are when you come to my house. If you're outside the house and you're approaching the house, her only thought is, I hope you don't have kids, because I'm about to fucking catch a body. Okay? But I don't even remember what we were talking about. I think we're talking about the Smiths and everything like that. And you know what? Fuck them. Fuck them. We don't need them. I'm just kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found this episode interesting at the very least. Entertaining? Who knows? Can't ask for too much. But what I want you to know is that next week, the podcast will be back to the regular scheduled schedule. Okay? And remember, no matter what, I still love you.